In this video, we will look at how flexible and rigid pavements distribute road loadings. This slide illustrates a simplified view of the distribution of the road loadings through the pavement layers in a flexible pavement. The top illustration is the elevation which views the road from the side, while the bottom is the cross-sectional view. The dashed black lines are the extent of the load in the pavement. Note that the load spreads over the depths of the pavement and in the subgrade. The base course is a high-quality aggregate designed to have multiple contact points between aggregate particles, and so the load is distributed as it is transmitted down to the subbase, as shown by the dashed black lines. This distribution is mainly via contact between the coarse particles, with each particle distributing its load over several particles below, as shown in the illustration to the right of the elevation. The load is distributed both along the road, as shown in the elevation, and across the road, as shown in the cross-section. The distribution of the load, the three-dimensional distribution of the load, means that a larger area of the base course is resisting the vehicle loadings as we go down through the base course layer. What that means is that the magnitude, that is the amount, of the loading decreases as we go into the base course layer. The subbase also transmits and distributes the load, however the distribution is not as broad as in the base course. This is because the subbase has larger aggregate particles in it, which result in less levels of coarse aggregate particles through the depth of the subbase, and so a narrower load distribution. However, the subbase is able to distribute the loadings to a magnitude below the bearing capacity of the subgrade. You'll recall that the bearing capacity is the loading that a soil, the subgrade, can resist without deforming or failing. This slide shows the simplified load distribution for a rigid pavement. The load is distributed across the concrete slab in two directions, as we saw with the flexible pavement. That is along the line of the road, as shown in the top drawing, and across the width of the road, as shown in the bottom drawing. However, the rigidity of the concrete means that the slab distributes the load over a much wider area. Distributing the load over a wider area means that the loading on the subgrade is much lower than what it would have been for a flexible pavement. This means that rigid pavements can be used where the soil has a low bearing capacity. However, the usual reason for using a rigid pavement is because the road needs to support larger vehicles, which create higher loadings. This would in turn result in higher loadings on the subgrade if a flexible pavement was used, or if a flexible pavement was used, it would need a very thick pavement layer to distribute the higher loads to a level that can be carried by the subgrade.